This is Quick Thoughts.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our quick thought segment. We will start. I was going to say, how is everyone? And then I realized there wouldn't be an answer because we're a podcast. All right, let's start in the NFL. The NFL made the decision last week to stop testing unvaccinated players through the remainder of the playoffs. They are only testing if someone reports symptoms. Going into this weekend, that only impacted 12 players. Do you think this was the right move by the NFL? Muff.
Yes, the NFL making this move because you don't want any of your players to not be in the game. Now, obviously, you only know of so many of the players that are unvaccinated. I mean, at this point, no longer or something, but Aaron Rodgers, obviously the most notable. But I don't think we know specifically other players that were in the playoffs or still in the playoffs that are in this situation. So the NFL is doing what they need to do to keep players on the field and not have to worry about taking them off the field. But there's also the you're a player and you have to report symptoms, kind of like, the 20 years ago concussion situation. If nobody knows that I'm not feeling well, then I can just keep going until something really bad happens. So the NFL's doing what they got to do. That's it.
Jim?
Is this the right move? I think that's a relative term. Is it the right move for the NFL? Probably, because the wheels keep turning and they make money. Is it the safest move? That's the TBD. I don't know. In a time where the outbreak is happening, I don't know. Could be the right move. We'll see. If the majority of these players are vaccinated, I hear the outcome is not so bad. So I don't know. I think that this is, if you want the NFL to continue and get through the playoffs, this is the way to do it.
All right. Any rebuttal from you, Muff? You guys pretty well agreed on that one. That doesn't usually happen. Odd. Bruce Arians, in other NFL news, was fined $50,000 by the NFL for striking a player during the game in their game against the Eagles in Super Wild Card Weekend. What are you guys' thoughts? Was this warranted? And if you could do something differently, what would you do? Jim?
I think the fine was warranted. This is the NFL. There's cameras all around you. You have grown-ass men. What are you doing, hitting them?
I don't know.
Hey, this is my time.
It is
Alex could interject whenever Alex
Yeah, wait a
wants.
second. I said I was the boss and I make the rules, but go ahead.
Would I do something differently to get the attention of said player and try to get my point across? Yes. I don't know that I would sit a player, but I would have a nice conversation. There's other effective means to get that point across.
Muff?
Yeah, I mean, there was going to be some fine levied. Is $50,000 the number? I don't know. I don't see a lot of precedent for this as far as head coaches being fined for this type of behavior. Obviously, in a playoff game, you've got even more. The Bucs no longer in the playoffs, but would this be a different discussion if it was during the regular season? I don't have the answer to that because I don't really know if there's a lot of precedent here. Would I do just something differently if I was the NFL? Again, I don't know what the precedent is for these types of actions against players.
I misinterpreted that. Would I do something differently? Would I do something differently if I was the league?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't.
I was interested actually in your interpretation of that. I thought that was a neat way.
I thought if I was Bruce Arians, would I do something differently?
I think Bruce is going to do something differently.
I felt a little stronger about this than you guys. I'm like, the guy has a helmet on, and he kind of just open hand swatted him. There was really no chance of him hurting him. It was more like, hey, dude, don't F this up. Like, I feel like if I was that player, I'd have been like, yeah, you're right, coach, you're right. Like, I don't think it was malicious attack on the player. So I think 50,000 is a little much.
In the era where they're supposed to protect your head.
Can Bruce Arians open hand swatting at you with a helmet on?
Really? Is this game going to overtime?
This is going to overtime. Yeah, this game.
Did they make it?
Yes.
No way.
Here's a live reaction to the Bills Chiefs game, everybody. Bills Chiefs going to overtime.
Unreal.
Unreal. I mean, this has been a really good divisional weekend. I mean,
Good
every
grief.
game now has ended on a game-winning field goal.
Oh,
It most likely will. You don't know. And this one it
Well,
could end
not
on a
this one,
touchdown.
right.
It'll be a walk off something, right?
Exactly. All right. So we talked about the NFL. We talked about the spots of the helmet. Let's talk about PED testing. It's been a saga that has gone on and on after big game testing. OBJ most recently was tested after his game against the Cardinals 2 weekends ago. Do we think the NFL is even trying to hide what they're doing anymore? And do you think it's fair how they go about it? Muff?
There's obviously, they say it's random. It can't be random that like earlier in the season, Myles Garrett's getting tested after having big games and after like wearing no sleeves. And people see that his arms are the size of most people's legs. It's not, they say it's random, but I cannot believe that it's random anymore. OBJ has a big game and they're like, oh, we're going to test you like in the playoffs. So at this
think it's
point,
random.
if we're not testing unvaccinated players, why are we even testing for PEDs anymore? Can you cycle on to a PED and have a real impact at this point? Like, is that possible? I don't know.
I think that it's random as in they take everyone who performed the best that week and put them in a pot and decide.
Right. How we randomize this? I feel like this is not really the case.
If you caught over 100 yards receiving, ran over 100 yards, or had over 3 sacks, we test you. Random.
That's it.
Jim, any thoughts on PED saga?
if we're not going to test for COVID, why are we testing for this?
I don't think COVID's a performance enhancer.
But what's the point of testing for performance enhancers? Like the general, it's for player safety, right? Or is it legally fair?
It's illegal to use, and they're dangerous to your health.
Is COVID dangerous to your health?
Yes,
but it's not illegal.
So it's the legality of it, right?
Yeah, and it's cheating.
Yeah, you're not getting COVID.
There are performance enhancers that are not illegal. There are performance enhancing drugs that are not illegal. So then it becomes down to the health part, correct?
Yes. Give me a performance enhancing drug that's legal, Jim, for the NFL.
There are things that they're busting them for.
Well, I need the legal ones. You said they're illegal ones.
Muff, I'm not a.
You're the one that said it. Tester. I'm just asking you to support it.
There's human growth hormone is illegal. I get it, Muff, but you know that there are drugs on that list that are the banned substance list.
I didn't ask you what was illegal. I asked you what was legal.
Muff, you know there are drugs on that banned substance list that they're popping for.
It was for OBJ's wife.
That aren't necessarily illegal by the letter of the law.
Okay, well, the question I'm asking you is what PEDs are legal for NFL players?
I'm saying I don't know necessarily. I'll get back to you on that. But we both know that on that list, there has to be stuff that's not illegal. Regardless, if we're going to say it's for player health and we're not going to test for COVID, there's some weird hypocrisy there.
I'm going to disagree. I don't think there's really hypocrisy at that point.
I think we agree to disagree and move on from the NFL to the MLB. MLB baseball. Baseball's back. Baseball's relevant.
I mean, if they're still on strike, right? Just before we get into this, they're still on strike. This is just a...
Yeah, I shouldn't. Sorry, I just got excited. We were talking about baseball. I thought I'd try to hype up the baseball crowd a little bit. 2022 will bring robot umpires behind the plate in AAA baseball, with 11 teams requesting employees to operate the new system. It is now just one level away from professional baseball. Do you think this will reach the MLB, and if so, when? Jim?
I think it should. I think it's going to the next 3 years. I think it should reach it. I think we should take the human element out of it. I think it will make it faster.
Muff?
If this has not come to some agreement during this collective bargaining agreement, then we're going to be at least however long that term is. I forget. Usually these are 5 to 10 years long, these collective bargaining agreements between the MLB and the MLB Players Association. So if it's not part of this, then it's going to not going to happen during this cycle.
I hear you. I don't want to see it happen. I don't think because I like the human element of it, but I also wasn't thinking about the point that Jim just made where he said it might speed up the game a little bit. But an interesting thing to keep our eyes on nonetheless. Moving from baseball to
Hey
the
Muff, did you know that Sudafed is Sudafed illegal?
you're only allowed to buy
We-
so much of it.
Yeah.
Sudafed is not illegal.
No.
It's Sudafed is on the banned substance list in the NFL.
That was not my point. The point was what is legal for an NFL player to consume, not legal as far as the rule of the law.
What is your then? State your point again.
What is a substance that is allowed by the NFL that you were saying they could utilize to enhance their performance?
That was not what I was saying.
Right. I was not using legal and illegal as far as
I
letter
feel
of
like
law.
this
I
is
was
the time
using
where I wish I had a giant gong.
I was using what is allowed and not allowed by the PED standards. That's what I was using.
All right, we're out of the NFL world. I have to keep this train moving because this is quick thoughts, not slow thoughts. We can address that during our other special slow thoughts, which will happen probably never. All right, moving on to the NBA. Grayson Allen, our little crybaby floppy pants, Grayson Allen returns to his typical ways, this time with I'm not even going to say hard foul, a deliberate, rude foul on Alex Caruso over the weekend against the Bulls. Caruso will need wrist surgery and will miss significant time. What do you believe will be suitable punishment for Allen, Jim?
What exactly did he do?
He took one hand and made a really hard foul, and then took another hand while Alex Caruso was in the air and used that hand to slam him to the ground and was ejected from the game.
And he got banned for just one game.
To my knowledge, yes. For a two-hand human slam.
In my opinion, gone are the days of the Detroit Pistons just beating you up. And I think that in this situation, they should return, and Grayson Allen should be dealt with on the court for this kind of shit. Oh, you hurt one of our players and he's got to get surgery? We're going to get you.
I would love to see that. I mean, he really has notoriously just been like a floppy crybaby. And he looks, I don't like the way his face looks. I don't like his face at all.
He just needs put in check.
Yes, exactly. He needs his ASS whooped. Muff, what are your thoughts on this
As
situation?
much as I agree with you all, and the Bulls are my favorite NBA team, that is not going to be how this goes down.
No, it's not.
I think we all know that this cannot happen because then there will be even harsher punishment for the Bulls in going after Grayson Allen.
Yeah.
That being said, it was a hard foul. I'm not going to go as far to say that he body slammed him, Alex, but he definitely forcefully drug him down
From
towards
the
the
air.
court. Yeah, it wasn't like he was like he had his hand on his back and was like, "No, you get on the ground," from midair. But there was definitely a active attempt.
In a downward direction.
Yes, there's an active attempt to, I believe, bring him to the ground violently.
Why does the team not get fined?
Because it's a player issue. It's not a team issue.
But see, I think that's some part of the solution is like, all right, you have a player that's an idiot, so rein him in.
Well, I think the team should get fined for what they did the next morning, which was posting on their social media a picture of Grayson Allen eating a donut that said "Good morning," and the Bulls responded back with, "Seriously?" The Bulls Twitter account was like, "You're really going to highlight this man after what happened last night and just make this like it's not a big deal?"
Oh shit.
I don't think that's fine worthy.
What's happening in this game right now?
Sorry, that was one. I'm glad that there was just a big play. Couldn't be Cole Hardman. Oh, they're in the red zone. All right. Let's move on to the last point in the NBA. In the NBA, our last point is an All-Star Game fan voting. Top vote getters include in the Western Conference LeBron and Steph. Eastern Conference Kevin Durant and DeMar DeRozan. The top vote getters get to be the captains, but Durant will be replaced. Is this a good system?
Why is Durant getting replaced?
Because he's hurt.
I like the system. I have no qualms with the system.
All right. So apparently, I'm the one that's got to talk about this.
No, I'm just what's wrong with the system, Muff? What's the problem?
It's the fact in my mind that I don't like fans having the entire control in these voting systems. I think they should have some vote, whether it's 50% or some area of that. But I still think all stars, and I mean there is the coaches and everybody have like the vote ins or like they fill out the roster. I'm just not a fan of the fans having control over this because I think there are probably better players in the Western Conference, not necessarily than Steph, but there may be somebody better than LeBron to be one of the top two. Nikola Jokic, last year's MVP.
Yeah, I agree. He should be in it. Yes, and I do agree with that point. He is a baller.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
can't believe
We'll
this
see how it
happened.
shakes out.
The Chiefs just beat the Bills, and probably one of the most crazy games. But they're reviewing it. They're
They
reviewing
are,
it.
but it's a touchdown.
I mean, even if they review it and call it back, I don't think Pat Mahomes is gonna be held back. You can't stop that man.
No. Man, my heart hurts though for Josh Allen. I mean, to drive down the
Yeah.
field like that, and then you have to watch the Walrus celebrate some more.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So, in other news on this game, your boy over here it would appear a Dawson Knox 40 yards. I don't know where he is for the game from hitting the same game parlay that would have been 1,200 odds.
Oh. I was one OBJ yard away earlier from $400, which I also believe affected Muff.
Not directly. The score of that game did, but not OBJ.
Yeah.
Yikes.
That's true. That's true.
Last
Mine was
point of the quick thoughts, and let's take this home, Alex.
Sorry, we're distracted. Olympics. The Jamaican bobsled team has qualified for the 2022 Olympics. What's your favorite memory from Cool Runnings? Muff?
Oh, my favorite part of Cool Runnings is whenever Darius is trying to get, and I forget his John Candy's character, trying to get him to be the coach, and he just pops up everywhere he is in the bathroom and everything like that. And be like, hey, could be our coach, could be our coach, could be our coach. That's my favorite part. Interesting.
Jim? Anything?
John Candy in general, what a legend. Gone too soon. I think he was probably my favorite part of that whole movie.
Feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme. Come on, Jamaica, it's bobsled time.
Cool Runnings.
All right, and that finishes up our quick thoughts.